Are you grinding all day, every day, but you still feel stuck? Does it seem like there's something you don't know that is allowing other people to move faster in life than you? If so, this video is for you, because I'm going to be sharing with you the proven protocol that all elite performers leverage to attain success. And this works across the board. I learned this from studying the best of the best. And it's all based on a very simple concept. The mastery you seek is not 10,000 hours away. It's 10,000 iterations away. And this video is about how to implement a proven feedback loop driven protocol to exponentially become better every single day. Master this, and I can guarantee that you'll start making more progress than you ever made in your life. Welcome back. My name is Castillo, founder of Selfmastered Peak Performance Institute for Entrepreneurs. We systematize the art and science of peak performance to help our clients scale without any procrastination, overwhelm, and burnout. And today's video is about how to implement feedback loops in your day today in order to become better exponentially. And everything hinges on understanding that everything that you do has to follow a very specific protocol. Every single thing you do. Once you internalize this, you're going to do it automatically. So it's not some cumbersome process. In fact, it is very simple, but it really drives exponential results. And that protocol is always having an intention before the action that leads to a reflection. In other words, everything that you do has to be intentional. You cannot be reacting to life depending on whatever happens, and you cannot be half-assing things. You must be intentional about how you use every single minute of your day. And that implies having an end in mind, understanding what is the outcome of the work or the thing that you are about to do. If you have 1 hour devoted to writing, what is the outcome of that hour? Is it 1,000 words? Is it 1,200 words? Is it, I don't know, a full report? I don't know, but what is the intention that you have for that specific hour of work? If you're going out with your friends to meet people, what is the intention? Who do you want to meet? How does that look like? How much fun are you willing to have? If you go to the gym, what muscles are you going to be targeting? What is the outcome you want from that gym session? In essence, everything you do has to have an intention before the action. Then step 2 is the action, is what you actually do. And you have to perform it in the best possible way, which means limiting distractions, which is having the end in mind front and center so you can perform the action. And eventually get to the reflection part. After that behavior has happened, after that time has elapsed, what happened with what you intended to do? What is the gap, and I call this execution gap, between what you said you were going to do and what you ended up doing? If you get into the habit of thinking everything intentionally and collecting feedback, you will soon see how very small changes lead to exponential improvements in every system of your life. And this is the core dirty little secret of elite performers. How do you think a average violinist becomes a world-class violinist? Not through, some sort of black magic, but through careful deployment of this protocol, by setting very clear intention about the pieces that he is going to practice, then actually practicing to the best of his ability, and then getting feedback and getting coaching and getting mentoring to become better at the thing. But most people, and this might be you too, are just going through life without paying conscious attention of how much intention they deploy in their day-to-day, which leads to wasting time and not learning as fast as you could learn. Being intentional about everything that you do is also very useful because it eventually helps you develop pattern recognition skills so you can foresee if things are not going to go your way. If for whatever reason you set an intention for that specific work session or that specific activity and you've done it enough times, you start seeing that maybe you're not performing the action as well as you thought you could, or maybe the environment changed or something happened and you're not going to achieve your goals. All of that is very useful because over time you become an absolute master at knowing what is your skill level of the thing that you're doing and how does that relate to the specific intention you had in the first place. In essence, the more intentional you are about what you do and the more feedback you collect, the better you will become across the board. This is universally applicable. Which leads me to point number 2. Is how do you install effective feedback loop that give you good information about your performance without getting overwhelmed? Well, before I share that, if you're seeing any value from the video, consider like, subscribe, and hit the bell so we start sending good videos that help you master yourself and improve your performance. So feedback really is pretty much the only hack, the only cheat code there is to master yourself, right? Because the concept behind it all, and I don't want to get too technical, is called deliberate practice. Once you do something without an intention, you're basically half-assing it. That is normal practice. People say practice makes perfect. No, practice makes permanent. If you're doing terrible practice, you're permanently becoming a terrible performer. The only thing that improves is perfect practice, also called deliberate practice. This is how Anders Ericsson, the most important scientist in peak performance, coined the term. In essence, it's a practice that has an intention behind it, but it requires a feedback loop. It requires having a way of collecting that information. The more integrated feedback is in your day-to-day, the faster you will improve and the better your life, in essence, will be. The core aspect of feedback first is that it drives superior output. Because if you're tracking your performance across the board, your performance naturally improves. And that is a law. The more feedback you collect, the better it becomes. But also, we as humans have evolved to require feedback for focus and performance, to the point that if the focus is short enough, right? If we're doing a task that has a very short feedback loop, we can trigger a flow state, which is an optimal state of consciousness in which we feel our best and perform our best. In essence, if you learn how to embed feedback loops in your day-to-day, every hour, every day, every week, every quarter, you will be miles ahead of those that are going unintentionally through their lives. There's several ways to become a feedback loop-driven elite performer. First is prioritize those activities that have feedback loops, right? So in business is having very clear marketing campaigns that give you feedback on whether they work or not. In sports is performing sports that you absolutely need the feedback to know if you're doing it right. Like for instance, in skiing, right? If you're skiing and you'd have no feedback of your performance, you can run out of a cliff or suffer an injury. Those kind of things are very important. Also, two is install feedback and KPIs in your day-to-day. So if you're in marketing, is how many leads did I get from this marketing campaign? How many sales did I get from this amount of leads? In sports is how many goals did I score in the football game that I just participated? How many kilometers did I ski down the hill? And collect feedback every day to see how you improved. The point is that you track your performance in order to become better over time. The goal, as I said, is to always have a reflection of the action that was initially set with an intention. This is what will make you very successful. Now, you may be asking, how do you implement this? This sounds cool, but what do I do with this information? Well, here's my 3-step protocol to implement feedback in a way that is guaranteed to transform into an elite performer and make sure you win in business. I like to do it on 3 levels. First is the quarterly level. Is every 12 weeks, I have a plan for those 12 weeks. I set an intention, an objective across many pillars of my life and my business. So let's say on my health side, on my relationship side, on my business, on the marketing side, sales side, product side, all sorts of things that I decide are important for me, that 12-week roadmap, right? And I set goals that are not at odds one with the others. If I'm chasing a specific marketing result, I need to understand what is the number of hours that I need to devote to that thing and all the specific set of projects and initiatives that I need to undertake in order to get to that goal. So that might be affecting the time that I have available for other personal projects, for instance. Everything that I do is systematic. I think of myself, which I am, as a complex system that sets a 12-week roadmap that allows me to achieve all of my goals. And I set the intention of achieving those goals across all of those pillars. But then I go into action and I very rarely change my plan. Once I have set my plan, I perform. I really do what I said I was going to do. I don't get distracted. I don't fall for the lady in the red dress. And then at the end of that 12-week plan, I have a week that I typically take a few days off, which is my think week, in which I collect data on what happened in order to understand what went right, what went wrong, and how can I improve. I do this every single quarter of my life for the past 8 years. I set a 12-week intention, I perform. So I take care of myself when I'm performing that action so I don't get distracted. And I eventually check the reflection. I take time to understand how everything went. Now there's one level deeper, which is the week. I do this on a weekly basis too. All of my business is designed to be run on one day a week. I only work if I need to on Mondays. Mondays, I create all the marketing campaigns, do all the management of my team, create all the content, do all the things that move my business forward. And I also collect feedback on how did the previous week go, right? So every Monday, I will set an intention. I will review the past week. I will set an intention for the following week, and I will do all the things that I believe need to be done that week in order to sustain and even grow the business. Because I do content, I do coaching, I do management, I do a few things in those 12 hours that I like to work on Mondays. And I have a specific intention for that week. So the next Monday, I will look back and understand what went right, what went wrong, and more importantly, how to improve. And then goes the daily feedback loop. And this is what's most exciting because I segment my day in 12-hour ring fence session. Ring fence session is how I call the specific protocol that I invented years ago. In essence, a time block between 90 minutes and 120 minutes in which I have a very clear intention for that time block that I perform against a timer. So I really literally track my time and I execute without doing anything else, narrowly focus on that thing. And then at the end of the 90-minute session, I collect feedback on how it went. And I do between 3 and 6 of these on any given day. And this is how I implement the protocol, the intention, action, reflection protocol. I set an intention for the 12-hour work week, I perform, and then I get reflection in order to improve. And over time, this allows me to be crazy effective to the point that I just work 1 day a week in my business, right? But everything hinges really on being very mindful and intentional about everything that you do. And this is applicable across the board. It doesn't matter what is the thing you're trying to master. You're trying to learn how to play guitar, you're trying to find a girlfriend, or you're trying to get married, trying to have a kid, or you're trying to scale your business. Doesn't matter. Every time you do something, do it intentionally. Understand what is the result you're going after, what is the outcome, and perform without getting distracted, self-sabotaging, or wasting time on other endeavors that are not aligned with that goal. And eventually gather feedback. Understand what went right, what went wrong, and more importantly, how to do it better. I can guarantee that this is probably the missing key that you haven't thought about. Because if you're working very hard, if you're doing all the things in the book, if you're sending all those emails, talking to all those people, reaching to people on social media, whatever it is that you're doing your day-to-day to grow your business and things are not growing, it's typically because you're not doing it right. That's not because you don't know what to do, it's because you're not collecting feedback. You're not paying attention to your failures. You're not learning from your mistakes. You're not paying attention to the patterns that may be signaling that you're not quite doing the things you have to do. And that is good news because guess what? You can easily solve that once you're starting to the habit of collecting feedback in everything that you do, right? So just to recap, we all should have a protocol that allows us to become better every single day. That protocol is intention, so deciding what we're going to be doing, action, actually doing it, and reflection, understanding whether we did it or not. And we run this loop every single time we do something. And I do this every day, I do this every week, and I do this every quarter. And this is how in the past, I was able to go from broke architect to private equity real estate director in 30 months. It's not because I'm smarter than the average, it's because I was collecting feedback on everything that I was doing. I had a very clear intention of what I wanted to achieve, which in that case was, all right, so I'm an architect. I want to be in private equity, ideally at the director level. So, okay, what are the skills the director level needs in order to get to there? Well, I need all of these skills. And what experience do I need to have? Well, I need to have done all of those things. All right, how can I position myself to do all of those things and learn all of those skills as fast as I can? That's exactly what happened. And 30 months, that's pretty quickly. In 10 quarters, I was able to achieve a transformation that typically takes 15 years, so 60 quarters. It really is very simple if you really learn how to do this effectively. And I have my own tool that I designed years ago to help me and my clients do this, but you can do this with a piece of paper. What matters is that you're intentional about what you do, that you carry the action without getting distracted, and that you reflect on what is the thing that you decided on doing. If you do these three things with everything that you do, I can guarantee that you will become the best you could ever be. If you want a proven protocol and want to help, book a call with us. We'll be happy to guide you and orient you and help you and train you if you are a businessman. If not, still apply this protocol and let us know how well it works. See you in the next video.